Hi, it's Wendy Rae. Welcome to my Idol Recap. Well, you may notice something different. My background's gone. Having such issues with my computer today, and I could not get my background to work to save my life. And after 4 hours of trying to film this and get it to work, I have finally decided that you're going to have to just stare at my beautiful white blinds behind me. And I'm very sorry. I apologize for that. And hopefully I will get it fixed before our next time together. Last night, the top 9 took on McCartney and Lennon, and I loved it. This was by far my favorite show of the entire season, and I'm going to tell you why. I think as a whole, the contestants did better last night than they had in previous weeks. They started off the night with Aaron Kelly, and I liked how they did a little snippet of what the other contestants thought about that contestant. I thought it was fun to see that insight. They thought that Aaron was Yoda. They called him Yoda. We got to see a lot of that, and I liked how they kind of thought he was their little brother, and they were pretty impressed with the 16-year-old, as I have been up until last night. He sang A Long and Winding Road, and I'm going to tell you, this did not work for him. I actually was excited about this week for him because I thought he could have taken one of these great songs and kind of turned it a little bit country, and he didn't do that, and that's what he needed to do. Randy agreed with me, and he said that you should have done like a Rascal Flatts version, which is exactly what he should have done. And I have to say I was a little bit saddened by Aaron's performance because I think it was the worst one that he has done to date. Next up was Katie Stevens. Was she so cute? Send me your phone bill and I'll go to prom with you. I think she's going to be getting a lot of phone bills in the mail. I'm just saying. She sang Let It Be, and I'll be honest with you, I was worried about her because I thought they were going to crucify her about it being too old. But they couldn't because Katie did an excellent job. Wow, I was so impressed. This was the Katie that I fell in love with during her audition. And I was so glad to see that Katie up on that stage. Awesome, awesome job. Next up was Andrew Garcia, and it was fun to see his insight about how goofy and silly he is. Because I've kind of thought he was dark, and I'm not really sure where I got that opinion of. You know, I'm a big Andrew fan. I'm, one of the last lone Andrew fans in the world. But I have to tell you, it was fun to see that side of him. And then he continued to bring that side out in his performance. He sang Can't Buy Me Love, and it was fun. It was a fun performance. The judges didn't really like it, and I don't know anybody else. When I looked online, it doesn't seem like anybody else did, but I thought it was a good performance. Was it stellar vocals? No, but it was fun to watch, and that was what I was excited to see from Andrew. Next up was Big Mike. Now, I'm not sure if you noticed or not, but the contestants, when they were talking about him, really didn't have a lot of nice things to say about him. I rewatched that to make sure I didn't miss anything. And basically, they were just talking about how big he was. Even Incredible Hulk on the airplane. And so it was a little bit disturbing to me as to why they couldn't find anything nice to say about him. And it made me think, what kind of guy is this Big Mike anyway? I've always loved him. But it scared me a little bit. I don't think that video did him any favors at all. Then he came out and did Eleanor Rigby, which is one of my favorite songs because my little black Pomeranian is named Rigby after that song. And I was kind of excited to hear him sing it, but then I don't think that he did the song any justice. It was not the best Big Mike song I've ever heard. Now, he's a solid performer, and he always has a solid performance, but this just wasn't great. And I thought it was funny that Kara was like in a wet her pants. She was so excited about this performance. I agreed more with Simon as he took a step backwards, and that's exactly what happened. And then they got into the whole subject about it being a show tune and blah, blah, blah. And Randy said, well, show tunes are current because of that show Glee. Okay, I don't mean to burst your bubble, Randy, but not everybody in America loves that show. I can't stand it. That's just me. There's a lot of people that like it, but not everybody does. So maybe it's not as current as you thought. And I felt a little bit disconnected with Mike last night, so that could be a problem for him. Next up was Crystal Bowersox, and the contestants love her. You can just tell. They think that she's a mom to them. She's just a sweet, kind person that I don't think could do any harm to anybody. Now, she sang Come Together, and her version was excellent. I loved it. What do you say about her? She's just really, really good. And I don't know that anybody in America doesn't like Crystal. If you don't, let me know, because I'd like to hear from you, because I think everybody loves her. I did think that big horn, what did they call it? I wrote it down. Diggery-doo? Well, I don't know. I thought that was kind of funny and kind of a cute addition to Crystal's performance. I also liked Ellen when she said, I'm trying to find new ways to tell you how great you are, because I kind of feel the exact same way. Next up was Tim Urban, and the contestants, all they could talk about was how fun his smile is. I'm done hearing about Tim's smile. We've heard about it for weeks and weeks, and I'm done hearing about it. Let's talk about something else when it comes to Tim. I hope the producers get this message. Now, Tim sang All My Lovin', and you know what? He did a great job. I will tell you that in my notes, when I was watching it, I wrote, and I will quote myself, it was pretty good for Tim. Okay, because I think what we're all doing, like Randy said, is we're basing our performance or our feeling about Tim on his prior performances. But I don't think you can help yourself because Tim has improved so much over the last few weeks. I mean, if you remember correctly, in Hollywood, I couldn't stand him. So he's doing a great job. And last night's performance, he really did deserve the kudos that he got. And so I'm glad that everybody liked his performance. Next up was Casey James, and they were talking about how he's the Fabio of the group. Of course he is. He's got the long locks. He's the hot guy, soap star type. And you know I've had a crush on him since day one. Remember, you're not supposed to tell my husband, so that's you and I's secret. Don't forget. He sang Jealous Guy. Okay, everybody's going to disagree with me because I did look online and everybody loved this performance. I wasn't excited about it, and I think it's because that this was not one of my favorite songs. In fact, Jealous Guy is probably one of my least favorite songs. But because Casey's voice sounded good, the guitar was good, he looked good, so it was a little bit weird for me that I didn't like it, but I just didn't like the performance. Maybe if the song would have been a little bit faster, I really couldn't put my finger on it. The judges loved it, the crowd loved it, everybody loved it but me. So I'm out by myself with I'm not a big fan of the Casey performance. However, he's awesome and I love him and I'll be totally cool with him staying on the show, obviously. Next up is Siobhan Magnus. I liked hearing the contestants talk about how quirky she is. That's exactly why we love her. She is a trip. And every time I see her, I fall more in love with her. Last night, she sang Across the Universe. Again, I wasn't real excited about this performance. To me, like Siobhan, it was kind of weird. It was almost like she was singing in a register too low for her. Some of the parts she sang higher, and I liked that part of it. I liked that part of the song. But for the majority of the song, it was way too low, and that was just a little weird for me. However, she, as Ellen said, is a special person, and she has got a ton of talent, and I absolutely adore her, and I fell in love with her even more last night when Simon and her were having the conversation about her sisters, and she started crying. Made me want to give her a great big hug again. Last up was Lee DeWise. Now, it was fun for me to hear that Lee is a worrywart, because I am a worrywart, and so I liked hearing that about him. I also found it a little enduring that he is so humble. He really thinks every week that he's going to go home, and all of us are going, there's no way, you're amazing. Why do you not see that? So I think that's pretty cute. I also liked about him and Andrew's relationship. That was pretty funny, the little heart around them and how they're going to get married and have babies. I thought that was pretty cute. But I like that they have a friendship. I think that it's good for them being contestants and being away from their family and friends that they have each other. So that was kind of cool. He sang Hey Jude, and I loved his performance. I loved how he interacted with the crowd, and he was just a lot of fun. I wasn't a big fan of the bagpipes. I thought that was kind of quirky. I agreed a little bit with Simon on that. But, you know, Lee is great, and I love him, and so it was one of my favorite performances of the night. Okay, so who are my other ones besides Lee? Well, obviously, Crystal Bowersox, but one that may surprise you, Katie Stevens rocked it. I loved her, so she was one of my favorite performances, and I think actually kind of stood out in the crowd. Who do I think is in trouble? Based on the performances, I think Aaron has got to go home. He was by far the worst of the night. I also think that Andrew Garcia is probably in trouble as well. I liked his performance, as you know, but a lot of people didn't. The judges didn't seem to like it, and his fan base is just dwindling a little bit. So it makes me sad, but I think he may be in the bottom 3. I also think because of my disconnection feel with Big Mike might find himself in the bottom 3. I could be totally off my rocker, but I just think that the video didn't do him any favors, and Eleanor Rigby was not a great performance for him. I'm just saying, but we'll have to see tonight during the results show. I will be back here tomorrow to talk to you about what happens tonight. Hopefully I will have my background fixed and so you won't be angry with me. Until then, hugs, make it a great day. Bye-bye.